Good afternoon, how's your day been? Welcome back to Gooner Fanzine TV. Myself and Grumpy Glen are doing a bit of a debrief after having just a really cool chat with the legendary Amy Lawrence. I know I'm a big fan, I know Glenn is too. How was that then? It was good fun, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, just absolutely brilliant. I'm not so grumpy today.
I know, I've never seen him smile so much, seriously. I can't believe he's laughing, look.
Yeah, no, I'm really chuffed to have met Amy. It's always been a bit of a minor hero for me. I get accused of being an Ozil fanboy, but
Amy Lawrence fanboy.
I'm a real Amy Lawrence fanboy. And just meeting her, it's just everything that's sort of reflected in her writing, really. It's witty, generous of spirit, very clued up, and just an absolute pleasure and a privilege. And I've got a nice book that's been signed with a personalised message. So
we were joking about it. If there's one book that's never going to be on eBay, that'd be the one that Amy Lawrence signed.
It won't be that, no, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, obviously, we both grew up reading her in the Gooner Fanzine itself, progressed to 442. She's obviously done really amazing stuff at The Guardian, and now she's at The Athletic.
Yeah.
I've seen her in the press box, come across her there. I've interviewed her a few times, and you're right, she's an amazing person with a real generosity of spirit, and that came through in the sort of chat we had today, wasn't it? About Anfield 89 and obviously Amy's book, and 89 basically.
The 50 minutes we did with her, I could have sat here for another few hours.
Yeah.
She's obviously a very busy lady, but no, it was just fantastic. It was just so. I mean, we went off sort of, well, not script, but there was so many things I wanted to talk to her about, and we never got round to.
Yeah.
A bit disappointed the Anfield story didn't come up.
I know, I forgot. I mean, she set it up as well. To be fair to her,
she did set it up. She wanted to hear about that, and then anyway.
Go back to one of our early podcasts because Glenn tells a brilliant story about the night of Anfield 89. Basically, May the 26th of 1989. It's a brilliant story if you haven't heard about it before. But it was just a really good chat with Amy today, and like you say, there was a real generosity of spirit there with Amy. She's really, just a really good person.
She's
basically,
so knowledgeable.
Yeah, she knows her stuff 100%.
What I like about her so much, she's obviously a massive Arsenal fan and a great writer, but you just know with people sort of like you're immediately drawn to. She loves the music, comedy and stuff, and film and whatever. I'm chuffed to bits. You're looking at a very chuffed person.
So we've got Happy Glen today, which is a very rare occurrence. But obviously, in terms of Amy's book, we all know the climax, we all know what happened, but there's a real sort of narrative building towards May the 26th, 1989. And those last 4 or 5 games that Arsenal took part in that season, 88-89, I mean, you went to a lot of games that year, I did as well. Remember May the 1st, we beat Norwich 5-0. It was a bank holiday weekend. Obviously, after the dreadful Hillsborough tragedy, football, rightly so, took a break, honoured the victims as they absolutely should have done. And then football started again on May the 1st. So I remember that was a bank holiday weekend, and Arsenal just blew Norwich away 5-0.
Yeah.
Remember Alan Smith scored a really good goal. But it was a bank holiday, like I say, it was a bank holiday weekend. And I just remember everyone being drunk.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just because it was bank holiday weekend, that's what people did and do now. But I just remember that you could smell the alcohol at Highbury. You could quite a lot of times, but that day especially. I mean, what's your memories of that?
Well, that's a good point you make, because I do distinctly remember that day the whole ground just absolutely reeked of beer. It's something you don't get so much at the Emirates. No, it was a great day, but I sort of touched upon this at the time. I was one of the few people in my sort of circle of friends that actually still went to football or enjoyed it, and fantastic day, very significant result. And I just got back to where I lived and met a few friends that evening and sort of absolutely buzzing, chuffed to bits. And I just sort of like met with a real chorus of indifference. Like, you follow football, do you still do that?
Yeah.
It was something we tried to touch on with Amy about, the whole sort of like social background to 89 and stuff. So I mean that is my abiding memory of it.
Yeah.
Getting back to the pub and nobody being remotely bothered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't really stress enough about the fact that back in the 80s, you were almost, like you say, considered a pariah if you went to sort of football. Even as a kid, people, my teachers were like, "Well, what are you doing going to football? You take your life in your own hands. There's hooliganism and stadiums are crumbling. There's all sorts going on. What are you doing?" But if you've got the bug, as we sort of discussed earlier, if you've got the addiction, then you're going to do it, and that's what we did. And that season was certainly memorable. Obviously, after that, we talked about it in the podcast with Andy as well, but at Middlesbrough away the Saturday after. I remember going up to Middlesbrough.
You went on yourself.
Yeah. remember Tony Adams, they were just throwing carrots over him the whole gate end.
Back to the carrots.
Yeah, absolutely. Donkey wins a derby and all that sort of stuff. But although that was later, but they obviously there was that famous newspaper headline with sort of Donkey Adams, or they put ears on Adams' head, didn't they? Didn't do anyone any favours. But ultimately, that sort of engendered a sort of esprit de corps amongst the Arsenal players and the squad that maybe pushed them towards victory. I don't know, but I remember going up to those sort of games, and you'd be like we said, everyone was in it together. Yeah. You know, it was a dreadful game. I mean, Martin Hayes scored with about 10 minutes to go, and all you wanted to do was just get home, because the sort of away end at Middlesbrough back in the day, you had the sort of terrace, then you had the seats, and there was a fence, and basically all these Middlesbrough fans were trying to rip our heads off, trying to get over the sort of fences and stuff, and it was a funny old time really. But
it wasn't a pleasant experience as a away fan.
No,
you have to remember that. I mean, through this sort of like haze of nostalgia and glory days, it seems good fun, but you know, you have to be sort of on your toes and a bit careful about
definitely.
Yourself.
Especially a place like Middlesbrough.
It wasn't particularly pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not just Middlesbrough. That was, you know.
Yeah, it's not like Middlesbrough per se, although it was quite rough up there. But it was just anywhere you went really, and that was certainly that season. I remember going to Sheffield Wednesday early on in the season. That was we lost 2-1 that day. There was other various times as well, but obviously moving on from that Middlesbrough away game, I think it was like the 6th of May 1989. The Saturday after was the 13th of May. We had Derby County at home.
Yeah, the killer.
That was a killer, wasn't it? If we'd have won that day and Liverpool had lost, we'd have won the league. That'd have been it. Arsenal won the league. No one would have ever talked about it again. Well, not as much as 26th of May 1989. That just wouldn't have happened basically. But I remember waking up one day just full of optimism, just going, "Yeah, we're going to win the league. We're going to win the league today. We're going to win. Liverpool are going to lose." And it never turns like that, does it? When you're sort of so full of optimism, basically. And obviously, Derby beat Arsenal 2-1 that day. Dean Saunders had an absolute stormer, didn't he? What do you remember that game?
Feeling sort of like slightly wary.
Yeah.
You know, classically, we're going to mess this up. But at the end of that day, I wrote it off.
Yeah.
So we've got a youngest team. We're giving it a good go.
Yeah.
Liverpool and Everton were dominating the league that decade.
Yeah.
Particularly Liverpool, obviously. I just thought that was it.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah.
Really did. So, like, you know, even the Wimbledon game.
Yeah, that's too all. Yeah. I mean, Amy obviously touched it on the podcast, and if you're watching us now, make sure you watch that podcast as well with Amy, like the three of us together, because it was a really good fun podcast. But there was a lot of insight there in what Amy was saying. But that day, that night when Arsenal drew 2-2 at Wimbledon, there was that lad Paul McGee who scored for Wimbledon.
Yeah.
And there's a bit in Amy's book actually. People had never heard of him before. They'd never heard of him again. Basically.
I've completely forgotten his name.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, he got buried in a pile of Wimbledon players, and that's in the book as well. But and then we sort of mentioned that in the podcast as well about the fact that everyone at Highbury that night stayed behind to cheer him off.
Yes.
You know, there was obviously it was really laced with disappointment. People were gutted, but it was almost like, do you know what? This team has done so well this season.
Yeah.
That we're just going to give them a round of applause.
Well, it's like the old "we're proud of each other."
When was the last time you heard that song?
Never.
Yeah, not for a long time.
It just that kind of encapsulates the sort of bond that there was between the team, the fans, and the club that existed in those days. And now there's that sort of disconnect where you still love the players and you love the team, but you feel that there's more of a sort of like Harlem Globetrotters experience about it. But whilst they're wearing the red and white, they're not totally, you know, part of that ethos.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of that history.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that's gone really, hasn't it? And, you know, give or take the odd player now and again, it's like puts, you know, Henry became a die-hard sort of like advocate of the way the club was and the values it stood for. And so, few and far between.
It's obviously the fact that for me that night, the essence of that night was just the fact everyone was in it together, like you say. And that was Highbury at its best, basically, when everyone was so disappointed that, you know, we thought we'd blown the league. Now, who goes to Liverpool and wins 2-0 when they were so dominant? And the last time Arsenal won at Anfield 2-0 in 73-74. So it was like there was no way we're going to win, basically. And instead of, you know, if that was now, I mean, we can't only imagine. I know you're not going to smartphone, but imagine Twitter. Imagine Twitter would just be an absolute meltdown. You've let us down. You've done this. You've done that, and the other. And it's like, well, no. Arsenal players. This Arsenal squad in '88, '89 did their best to get to this point, they deserve a massive round of applause. And that's what happened at Highbury.
It would be a toxic echo chamber of sort of damnation and vitriol.
Toxic echo chamber, I like that.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. I'm good for one or two.
You are, yeah. I like that line. Toxic echo chamber.
Then it was sort of about being part of the club, getting behind the club, and appreciating what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's sort of like, you haven't done enough. You don't care. You're not fit to wear the shirt.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was proud of them at the time. I had no idea. Well, no, I don't think anyone had an inkling that we were going to go out and do what we did.
Yeah.
It makes it all the more delicious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, delicious is word, basically. But I remember that on the Wednesday. On the Tuesday was obviously Arsenal Wimbledon. That was 2-2. We'd actually blown at one point out of the last 6. We're not going to go and win the league at Anfield, are we? But we still, in terms of the sort of mechanics of the mathematics, we still only needed to win 1-0 as things stood. If Liverpool had beaten West Ham 1-0 or something the day after. So on that Wednesday, Liverpool played West Ham at Anfield. Obviously, West Ham were on holidays in Magaluf, whoever he went back then. I actually went to Ibiza for 9 days.
West Ham's official role in football is to stop other London clubs winning it.
Well, that was it. Well, admittedly, they stopped United winning it in 94-95.
Well, I said London clubs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But obviously, the reference being United or a London club, in case you didn't get that. I didn't get it for about 2 years. United, obviously, Fergie said it was like just ridiculous, obscene amount of effort that West Ham put in that day to draw 1-0 up to the bar, to deny United the win that would have basically got them over the line to win the title in 94-95. And I always reference that to that 5-0 at Anfield on, I don't know, the 14th of May, whatever it was, 1989, when they just collapsed. They were absolutely disgraced. And I remember doing my A-level history revision that night, listening. The chances. Yeah. Watch the podcast, you'll sort of get the reference. But it was a really, really tedious revision. I was sat there, Radio 2 was on, obviously no television in terms of live football back then, sitting there trying to revise this really, really tedious, and I like history, but it was a really, really tedious subject. And it was Liverpool scored another goal. Liverpool scored another goal. And I was just like, I'm going to fail my A-levels, and Arsenal are just going to, we're not going to win the league, and it's just been compounded by the fact that West Ham have folded. And obviously, as an Arsenal fan, you want Arsenal to win every game. You want Arsenal to beat all your London rivals, basically. And I obviously want Arsenal to beat Tottenham more than anyone. But I don't like West Ham because of that, basically. And every time we play them, I always invoke that spirit, and I just go, they cost us that night, because we could have gone up to Anfield and won 1 and tried to win 1-0. They folded completely. They might have played with might as well play with no players. It was embarrassing. 5-0, it could have been 10, it could have been 50-0, whatever. They were an absolute disgrace that night, and that meant that we had to go and win 2-0 at Anfield. And after that, I was just like, no chance. We ain't going to go up there and win 2-0. No way. That just doesn't happen. And you can't underestimate if you're sort of, you're not too familiar with the 88-89 season or the actual, the 80s basically. The Liverpool was so dominant. They had, to be fair, they had a really, really good team, a great team. Not knocking them at all, but the fact that they were so dominant, no one went up to Anfield and won. No one went up to Anfield and won 2-0 when you need to win the league, when silverware was, when the league title was at stake. Yeah. So that West Ham capitulation just sealed it. I was like, we had to do that.
Oh, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Honestly, 30 years, 30 years on, I'm still going about it. West Ham losing 5-0 just because they were so crap. But I mean, can you remember that game? Did that make any influence on you at all?
Yeah. To be honest, I'd given up the ghost anyway. Being of a saturnine disposition, Grumpy Glen, if you want to. I pretty much put it to bed, the title. And I think I just heard that in passing. Someone said, Liverpool stuff, West Ham. What's new?
Yeah.
So I didn't get as agitated as you.
It still gets me now, doesn't it? Seriously.
Yeah. And even the Friday night, I'm just no expectation whatsoever.
Yeah.
I almost watched it out of interest to see how nobly we could lose the league.
And obviously, obviously all Arsenal fans should know about David Pleat's line right at the end of the commentary with Brian Moore, God rest his soul. He was a brilliant commentator. But what was it? The line was poetic justice.
Poetic justice on the night.
Yeah, that Arsenal should win 1-0, but Liverpool win the title. Yeah. And it was like, well, it's not justice at all. And you're a former Spurs manager as well. We're not interested in what you say, basically.
I suppose he was on the spot a bit. But,
yeah, exactly. And Amy's book, to be fair.
Poetic justice now that he made that quote and he won 2-0.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well said. Yeah. But yeah, obviously Amy's book basically gives him a sort of right reply. And just said, I will phrase it differently. So fair play to Stephen, was complete in that respect. But obviously, in terms of what he said, that's going to be remembered forever from Arsenal fans. Obviously, we won 2-0. That's why Amy's book is so brilliant, because it brings back so many memories of that night. She talks to all the players, the staff, the officials, talks to fans. It's just a brilliant book. So if you've not, absolutely. If you've not read it so far, it's been released for about 2 weeks now. We're talking about it today, obviously. If you've not read it or bought it yet, do it, because it's essential, must-read reading for all Arsenal fans, basically. So
it will be brilliant. She's a brilliant journalist, brilliant writer, and having met her today, a great person.
Can't say fairer than that. So thanks very much for watching. Obviously, watch our podcast with Grumpy Glen, myself, and obviously the star of the show, Amy Lawrence. Come on the Arsenal.